Hello everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a dad card and we're going to be building a scene. And we're going to be using this brand new set called Un-grill-iveable. It has the stamps and the matching dies for all the images and the sentiments. And then we're also going to be using our Simply Sentimental Dad and Simply Sentimental Mom. And we're going to be using the Simply Sentimental Dad dies as well. Those go very well together. So to save a little time, I went ahead and stamped out all the images that I needed for my little scene. And I stamped those onto some blending card. And I also stamped those using some Blackout ink by Ink on 3. It's just a good combination so that everything blends well and that you don't have smearing. Because that Blackout ink works well for alcohol marker coloring. And I'm using my Olo markers. I have recently been just going to town with these, if you've watched me at all. And I still use my Copics, so I've found that they work well together. So keep that in mind. If you are playing with the idea of getting the Olos, they do work well with the Copics. And then we're moving on to our shrimp. I'm going to make them pink, so like they're already cooked and done, even though those steaks are not done. And then we're going to move on to the other little kebabs. And then we've also got a salt and pepper shaker that we're going to color up there. And then I just realized that I needed some more color. So that's going to be our chicken in between. I needed more color, so I stamped out some green peppers, and we are going to color those green peppers using some green Olos as well. So, like I said, I want to build a scene, but I want to take away the fear of building a scene. Because sometimes at the thought of like coloring up your whole background, that can be a little bit daunting. And you don't always need all the stamps and dies to create your own background. You can kind of come up with your own, and we'll talk about that as we get to it. But let's finish up our coloring, just doing our little salt and pepper shaker, and everything's pretty easy since these are fairly small images. Blend that out just a tiny bit and then do our little salt shaker. But then I'm going to bring in the matching dies for all of these. We'll tack that down with a little bit of mint tape and we'll run this through our die cutting machine. Obviously we'll have to do it a couple times because we have done some multiple stamping there. And then I have all those die cut out, and we're going to move on to our sentiment now. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that and die cut that out. I'm going to combine the sentiments. So we're going to combine the sentiments from the Un-grill-iveable set and our Simply Sentimental Mom and Dad. Because, yeah, why not, right? And I'm going to bring in the matching dies for our sentiments. This is going to be a birthday card for my husband. And I love those punny sentiments. They just make me smile. And then before we move on to our Simply Sentimental Dad stamps and dies that we're going to use there, I'm going to start coloring my background. Now let me tell you, the first step in scene building, if you want to color the whole background, which is what I'm going to do, is to start small. If you've never done it before, start with something small. And so I just have a piece of that same blending cardstock, and I've cut it down to 3 by 6 inches. We're going to make a mini slimline. And I know it doesn't look good right now, but remember, this is the background. And so it can be a little bit fuzzy. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm noticing with my marker here, these are the red grays. This one seems to be kind of drying out at the one end. And so I'm going to flip over, and for whatever reason, that end works way better. So yeah. And I'm not going to worry about coloring in all those edges because I am going to bring in the next color, which is my RG7. And I am going to build up some sides. Now you might be going, why did you do this? Now, my husband uses a griddle. He doesn't use a grill, and he has used a griddle now for a number of years. And if you're, if that's at all familiar to you, you know what a griddle looks like. If you don't, you can look up the word Blackstone. There's griddles at Sam's, Walmart, all those different places. But this is how my husband cooks all of our steaks. And I will say, I am absolutely ruined for steak. My husband is one of the few people that I will let make a steak for me because he just is that incredible at it. All right, so this is super simple stuff. All I need it to do is look like a griddle in the background. And if you've seen a griddle, you know that it has those two sides. It has its little back area and then, the main middle area, almost like a cooktop that you'd see at a restaurant is the only other way I can describe it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't need this to be perfect. It just needs to be a background to hold the pieces where the sentiments and all the little pieces that I've colored are going to be the main star of the piece, right? So you don't need this to be stunningly perfect. And as you can tell, mine isn't. But I am so happy with how that turned out. I went with something fairly simple, and I decided to make a smaller card. That's where Mini Slimline comes in. And yeah, this was easy to do. So now I'm bringing in the sentiments. I'm bringing in the one that says, "To the greatest." That one comes from Simply Sentimental Mom. And then I brought in the word father from Simply Sentimental Dad. And we're going to stamp those onto a piece of cardstock. And then we're going to use the die that matches for father. And then we'll run that through our die cutting machine. There isn't a die for the other one, but I kind of think this is fun because it adds this whole element of different, a different look to each of the sentiments that I'm going to have on the front. Different fonts for each one of them, and they're all cut differently as well. So I think that's kind of cool. And even this one I'm going to cut at an angle and then just a straight edge there. And then I'll play around with a little bit of placement. So it's going to say, "To the greatest father, have a sizzling birthday." And then we'll have all of our little pieces on our griddle. And then to attach everything down, I am going to use the foam adhesive strips. These are double-sided adhesive foam strips. And the only one I'm not going to put it on is the word father. To pick up my peppers, I'm going to, because I want them to stay the same, right on that little pile that I had, I am going to use a piece of mint tape to pick those up, and then I can just put the foam tape on the back of that, and that'll keep it all together. And so I'm just attaching everything down. I'll peel off that mint tape in a second. And then we'll bring in our Crafty Gluefriend for the word father. But all of our other pieces, I had already peeled off the release paper on that. And then we're just going to stick down our 2 little steaks, our shrimp, and our other kebab. And then for our base, that measures 6 by 6. And then you score it at 3 inches. So that is a Mini Slimline. And then for the inside, I'm going to use the rest of the pieces. So it's going to say, "You're not old, you're well seasoned." Perfect birthday card for my husband. And then I'm going to attach down the rest of the pieces that I had stamped and die cut out so that we can draw the outside in. And I should have planned a little better on the inside. I really didn't. I was just kind of sticking stuff down at this point when planning is always usually a little bit better, but it's all good. It's fine. And then we'll attach down our sentiment and then our little salt and pepper shaker. And then I'm actually not going to add any embellishments to the outside, but take a look at how fun and easy that was to make a scene card without going too overboard. I made this look like a grill or a griddle in our case, very simply. So I'll use that Crafty Gluefriend to attach down our panel to our base, and that is going to finish off the card. Now, you will see in the final picture that I added a few little dots just to add a little extra something, and I used the Olo markers for that, but I love how this card turned out, and I hope you like it too. If you do, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.